Alright, so today we are making cauliflower Alfredo sauce, and this is going to be not only gluten-free but grain-free entirely. So this is going to be 1 head of cauliflower, a half cup of Parmesan cheese, mine's shredded already, and then we're going to use some liquid from cooking the cauliflower with a little bit of chicken bouillon, or in this case I'm using some chicken stock concentrate, which I like to use. Some salt and pepper, pasta of your choice, and then the recipe doesn't call for this, but I'm going to add a little bit of sweet onion. This is a baby Vidalia, and some garlic, because I think Alfredo needs garlic. So we're going to get going. The first thing you're going to do, you're going to section up your cauliflower. We're going to be processing this in a food processor, so you don't need to section it nicely. So quarter it, and then just break it off into chunks, and cook it until it's soft. You can do that in a microwave, you can do that in boiling water, or you can steam it. And today we'll be steaming. So here you can see what I mean by quartering it. By cutting it into quarters, it gives you a better opportunity to use the stem. Since we're going to be putting this in a food processor, you don't need to worry about it being more fibrous. It's going to be cooked totally, and you won't be eating the stem directly anyways. It's all going to be processed. And then once it's like this, you can break it off into equal sized chunks, or cut it into chunks, and get it into your steaming water. Alright, so here we've got our sectioned cauliflower, and I've got a boiling pot of water with a steamer basket going already. This is going to take somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes to cook if you're steaming. If you're boiling it in water, probably closer to 30-40 minutes. And if you're microwaving, you'll want to look up the directions based off of the power of your microwave and the type of cooking dish you're going to use in your microwave. Okay, so it's been about 25 minutes for me, and you're going to know it's done when you can take your cauliflower and actually shred it with a fork. That means it's super soft, super done, and we're ready to pop this into the food processor. Okay, so once you've got your cauliflower in the food processor, we're going to toss the Parmesan cheese and your half cup of reserved water. So if you're steaming, you might not have a half cup, so you may need to supplement. The water will need to be hot. You don't want to shock this with additional cold water, because we are going to want to melt that cheese when it goes into the food processor. If you're boiling it, obviously you're going to have lots of water left in your pot, so that shouldn't be a problem. You'll mix that with your concentrate or your bouillon, and we'll whip this up with a little bit of salt and pepper. And at the same time, I've got a pot on my stove now, on the warm burner, and I'm going to saute some onions and some garlic, and then once this sauce is done in the food processor, we'll toss it into this pot to keep it warm until our pasta is ready. So I actually had 3/4 of a cup of liquid left after steaming that cauliflower, which is really great, because if the cauliflower wasn't quite cooked enough, you may need to add a little bit more water to loosen up the sauce. So we're going to take a half cup of this, and we're going to make our broth, or our concentrate, and then I'm going to hold back about a 1/4 cup in case this is going to be too tight and we need to loosen it up a bit. Okay, so we've got our broth in there, some salt, some pepper, our Parmesan cheese, and we're ready to go. And once this is going and we've got a good consistency, you want to taste it and check for the amount of salt and pepper. And if you are a fan of adding nutmeg to your Alfredo sauce, now would be a great time. So my sauce looks a little tight, so we're going to add some of that 1/4 cup of reserved liquid until it loosens up. So you can actually hear a difference in the food processor once you get to the right consistency. I added just over half of my reserved liquid. Okay, so our onions are nicely browned and garlic sauteed, so we're going to add in our sauce now and let this stay warm while our pasta finishes. And I have some extra cauliflower that I've got roasting in the oven, along with some leftover meatballs. So it's now in my hot pan, and I suspect that by the time I go to add the pasta, it may thicken up a little bit more. So we'll see once I add my pasta to the sauce whether I need a little bit of my water from the pasta to help loosen it up a bit more. I've tasted it. It needs a little bit more salt, and I've decided to add a little bit of nutmeg as well. So keeping it in a warm pan, you're definitely going to develop a little bit of that nutty flavor you get like when you roast cauliflower, and I think it's going to taste fantastic. Alright, so our pasta just finished, and we're going to get this into the sauce and mix it up and see how well it coats and how it tastes. So spaghetti probably wouldn't be my first choice, but that's what we had on hand. But you can see just how much this sauce is sticking to the pasta. So we're definitely going to want to loosen this up a little bit more, and it looks like the sauce is going to go a long way too. Alright, so another 1/4 cup, and we've got a consistency now with the sauce and noodles that I think is going to work really well. So we're going to plate this up with some of our roasted cauliflower and our meatballs, and we'll get it on a plate. Alright, so there's our dinner. We've got our cauliflower Alfredo sauce with a bit more Parmesan cheese on top. Again, using spaghetti noodles, I usually use linguine, but this is what we had. And some roasted cauliflower and some leftover meatballs with a little bit of tomato sauce. And the taste is definitely reminiscent of an Alfredo. And the texture is really good. It's definitely cauliflower, but it tastes absolutely fantastic. So it's a fantastic recipe to work off of. You can do a lot with it and adjust it as you like, but I hope you enjoy. So what do you say, Riley? How is it?
Good.
What do you say, Kayla? How is it?
Good. There's meatballs and cauliflower.
Yeah, and what's the sauce on the pasta?